The End of the Universe Part 2? Did I miss number 1? Oh man, I'm always late to these things. I brought all this extra whiskey for nothing. What am I supposed to do with it? Drink it? Oh wait, yeah, I could totally do that.
I want to begin where we should begin, and that is to begin with the scripture.
Wait, what? Scripture? That's got nothing to do with the end of the world. I mean, it says it does, but it's got everything wrong. The world is going to end from ants. Countless numbers of ants. Just unbelievable swarms of ants. Ruining picnics everywhere. It's a goddamn hellscape.
There is reigning among us like some kind of sovereign ideology these days.
Oh right, it's a preacher dude. But would you just look at that freaking church? Just like a community church? It's a bloody gigantic theatre. Which is hilariously appropriate, seeing as everything that's said is just going to be farcical theatrics. But it's so opulent. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing. I seem to remember something about Jesus wanting you to chuck away your stuff. But what does he know? It's not like he's God's gift or anything.
The notion that we as human beings...
Ugh. Oh, God. Don't mention them. Oof. I feel just dirty thinking about it. Ugh. Yuck. Humans.
are in charge of the future of this planet.
I mean, who else would be? The starfishes don't have any hands. The pandas are bleeding useless. And we already discussed that the ants are determined to kill us all by depriving us of cucumber sandwiches. There's just literally no one else. So who but humans?
That whether or not there is an Earth thousands of years from now depends on us.
Yeah, pretty much. At least in terms of your current ability to do unbelievably destructive crap to the environment. You are going to have to make sure you lot don't ruin everything for yourselves so you still have it. But, well, I mean, if my environmental plan was put into action, the planet would be fine until either the sun go boom boom or some random universe debris just hits the planet. Kill all humans 2028. That's my campaign. And only a big dumb wouldn't vote for me. You wouldn't want to be a big dumb, would you? I'm running 8 years from now because I need time to build up my whiskey reserves. It's not like I'm going to make it myself. That sounds like efforts.
That somehow, if we are to preserve this planet, we have to change our behavior in a significant way.
Yes, because your behaviour is doing lots of damage. God, it's not that hard. And hey, I'm not saying that you shouldn't act like a bunch of irresponsible little jackasses. Fill your boots, man. I have destroyed most of my body from excess liquid consumption. But ultimately, there are consequences to your actions. Because of course there are.
We are all very much aware of the fact that we are living in a world that is trying to go green.
Ugh, don't even. I mean, green? That's not even my favourite colour. They should go with crimson red. That's a lovely colour. And it would mean that the world would finally match my outfit. At last.
That's kind of the idea. There is even now a standard green color that you're going to find showing up on all kinds of products.
Oh noes! Who cares? I'm assuming you're talking about products being environmentally friendly, and yeah, a lot of that is meaningless marketing guff. But for those items where it actually does mean something, cool. That can only be good, right? So I genuinely have no idea why you would, at least implicitly, have an issue with this green thing. It's because you hate Hulk, isn't it? Hulkist.
Unrelated, really, or perhaps sometimes related to environmental issues, just to relentlessly put before you the necessary realization that we need to do everything we can to keep the planet green and not destroy it.
You're right. They really should be putting on a red label with me flipping you off, saying screw the planet on it. And yes, that is already sick brand merch, since I know you are going to ask for it. Because that's exactly the kind of t-shirt that I want.
The assumption is that we have the power to do that.
I mean, you're literally doing it. And don't even get me started on the Nuki boys. Those things are beautiful. You think that has no lasting impact on the environment? You think smashing those across the surface of the planet wouldn't pretty much irrevocably screw it up, effectively, permanently, at least for life as we know it? And yes, I know that that was redundant, but I am making a point. Humans could absolutely ruin the planet, and anyone who thinks they couldn't is a foolish fool from Fooltown Foolshire of the Greater Foolish Empire.
We have the opportunity to do that.
You do have the opportunity, you just don't bother, because you like living, and all your stuff is here. It's pathetic, really. Come on, blow up the planet. What are you, chicken? Bwok, 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 bwok! Damn it, that didn't work. Good. Seriously, people who do things just because someone dared them and made animal noises at them are idiots. But I guess doing something that might kill them does knock them out of the gene pool, so I guess it balances out in the end.
We have the stupidity to do that.
Yes, you do.
And if we're not corrected and redirected, we will do that.
Why exactly does that bother you? Isn't that basically what the Bible and organised religion is all about, but on a more personal level? If you aren't corrected and redirected, you'll go to hell or whatever. Oh right, of course. This is not your redirection. It's not people doing things to benefit your cause. So of course it's bad. Gotta get them tithes to pay for your mega churches and ultra churches and Omega EX plus Alpha Ultra Mega Hyper Fighting New Age of Heroes churches.
There have always been doomsday prophets.
Why would you bring them up? Aren't they always the ones letting your side down with their failed prophecies that constantly ended up being shifted along to a week from Tuesday? When the world is definitely gonna end this time, guys, we promise! Only to be disappointed yet again. Specifically me disappointed. And talking of that, when is enough enough? When do you go, right, not one of these predictions has been right, maybe the guy making them is full of it. I mean, there's a point at which the number of failed doomsdays is orders of magnitude greater than even a potential doomsday may be happening. Surely there are better things to do with your time, like smashing your head with a brick.
There were people in the past who told us that the earth was going to be overrun by extraterrestrials.
Okay, but like, did anyone take them seriously? I mean, they would have been taken even less seriously than the end of the world shouters from before. And that's saying something. And was it anyone of any import? Or just some random kook? I'd be betting kook.
Scientists got together and even developed a formula called the Drake formula for the existence of extraterrestrials. A very sophisticated mathematical formula.
Okay, before you carry on, first, it's called the Drake equation, and I won't hold your feet to the fire too much on that one because the very sophisticated mathematical formula bit implies that this is some ultra precise and well used tool. It is not. In fact, it wasn't even designed to be anything of the sort. It was designed to stimulate thought and discussion at the first scientific meeting of SETI, or the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. It was more probably thought of as an approximation than as a serious attempt to determine a precise number. So I just thought I would make that clear before he says something stupid about it.
They put on such a case that people actually began to live in some kind of anticipation, if not fear, of the invasion of extraterrestrials.
That's weird, because A, I don't know exactly how many average Joes turned up to the event, And I doubt whatever was discussed was particularly widespread, especially during the 60 years ago this came about. And B, even if some people decided to freak out about a thing that wasn't even meant to put out such a case, well, that's entirely on them. People will always find a reason to act like dumbasses about things that aren't even going to happen.
During the Cold War, people like Carl Sagan and others, who were public relations quasi-scientists rather than real scientists, convinced the world.
Who are these other scientists exactly? And what qualifies you to call anyone a quasi-scientist? I mean, Carl Sagan was a science professor at Harvard, for crying out loud. I try not to go into argument from authority, but if the two of you were to answer my questions on whatever scientific topic came to mind, I'm going to imagine that he could answer them and that you would fall to the ground screeching because your two brain cells began to overheat.
The Western world, that we were on the brink of a nuclear holocaust, and if a couple of nuclear bombs were set off, it would absolutely destroy the planet.
No, that's not how that would have worked, and that's not what anyone was worried about. That couple of bombs being set off wasn't the real problem. It's the retaliation, followed by further retaliation, until you get mutually assured destruction of the end of the world with Fallout 76. And no one wants Fallout 76. Thank God that never happened, and we now live in a paradise where Bethesda games are still actually pretty good, right? Right?
That it would not be able to recover, that its temperature would drop 35 degrees and stay that way for a year, with massive implications.
Seriously, again, it wouldn't have been a couple of bombs. You're either a moron or disingenuous. It's tens of thousands of warheads shared across various nations around the globe. I mean, we're talking somewhere in the region of 50,000 for Russia alone. Even if these weren't nukes with the associated radiation to poison the landscape and just boomy boys, are you telling me that there would be much in the way of habitable land left in major population centres of the planet? Add back in that radiation, and now everywhere that wasn't decimated by explosions is almost certainly too radioactive to sustain anything but the most hardy of creatures, or things that just live way underground and maybe way under the sea. And we are none of those things, so you, God's children, are completely fucked.
All of this in the face of the fact that 1 year after dropping atom bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, melons began to grow in the very spot where the bombs landed.
Okay, I cannot say that I've heard that one before, and I can't find it stated anywhere. So I'm not going to say that you're full of crap, because I could just be really bad at doing a big research. But sure, let's just say that this is 100% true. So what? First off, is that all you have? Melons? Wow. Amazing. But do you know what happens to flora, aka plants and shiz, when you have a nuclear disaster? Not much, actually. I mean, yeah, they are affected, but they still exist. Chernobyl is bloody teeming with plants. It's still a radioactive zone that isn't exactly what one would call safe for human habitation to this day, although that doesn't stop some. Russians are pretty hardcore. But the plants grow. So what? You still can't live there. Also, fun fact, these plants also absorb radiation. So when a recent wildfire happened, 16 times the normal amount of radiation was detected. One assumes coming right from those plants. So go ahead and eat that rad melon and enjoy your second head.
But people bought into the fear of that public relations, politically motivated pseudoscience.
Sure, they're the ones doing pseudoscience. You know, just because people say that word to you all the time doesn't make it an I win button for other people, right? It actually has to be pseudoscience. Like, oh, I don't know, pretending that nuclear holocaust would be a day at the park after just 1 year. And you want to act like just a couple of bombs is no big deal anyway? Well, here's what one of those bombs did. And we again are not talking about a couple, but like up to over 100,000 potentially. I think you might be an idiot.
And we're now seeing the same thing coming at us again. Going back a little further, there was a time when, and I've read this on a number of occasions, people were warning that the United States of America was going to be neck deep in horse manure because there were so many horses in the streets.
So because someone said something silly and likely intentionally hyperbolic a million years ago in the stupid ages, that means that scientists these days must be wrong. I'm not sure that holds up, my dude.
We find ways around things like that.
Holy shit, are you kidding me? Well, isn't that exactly what these terrible green labels trying to make sure we don't mess up the planet are? Way to refute your own point, Einstein. Well done. I am very amazed with your complete lack of self-awareness. It's actually impressive.
It's amazing how resilient human ingenuity and intelligence really is.
Oh, that's so Lamau.
It's amazing that even in a fallen world, we have made the massive advances that we have made for the preservation of life and the preservation of this planet.
And that was all done by dipshits standing on their mega stages making up shit about nuclear bombs and how Carl Sagan's a big dum-dum. Also, yeah, humans did do all of that, despite someone's complete apathy to the situation. I mean, come on, big guy. You aren't going to come down to earth and fix some of, well, the problems that are ostensibly your fault. Well, fine. Screw ya. We don't need you. I mean, you really don't need him. Just saying.
God has built into mankind a sense of responsibility that is really quite remarkable.
That kid knows what's up. And yeah, sure, as groups we can come up with ways that allow ourselves to live longer. But that doesn't mean that we don't also do the big dumbs either. In fact, most of the biggest damage to the environment were things done during our development in Western nations. And now we've got there, pretty much, we can afford to try and fix it. Unfortunately, nations that are now developmentally catching up have to use a lot of the same crap we did in order to get to our level. Which on one hand is like, okay, it's their turn I guess, but on the other is like, really screwing up the planet. So it's not good and also way beyond the scope of this channel or my big dumb brain. So I am going to stop talking about it before I go and do an opinion and make everyone cross with me.
Man, even unconverted man, is naturally the possessor of part of the image of God, and part of that image is the sense of stewardship.
Citation needed, man. Come on, you can't just say that we are made in the image of God. I mean, for starters, if we are, why aren't we 60-foot tall floating flesh sacks that occasionally make loud honking noises? Oh, didn't you know? That's what he looks like. Yeah, it's kind of messed up. Ugh. Aren't you glad he doesn't exist? Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the